Thank you for joining our wedding live stream. I hope you enjoy our show.
Let's all rise for the bride. All right, you can all take your seats now. It's revelatory. They're seeing each other for the first time.
I was on time. First time for everything, huh?
Hi, everyone. My name is Naomi Rose, and I'm honored to be standing up here with Dannah and James as they deepen their commitment of love and togetherness. Thank you for being here today to witness, bless, and celebrate them, and to help them joyfully and powerfully transition into the next beautiful phase of their lives. There are many reasons why we do ceremony, why ceremony is a universal human impulse. But in their most innate, stripped-down form and expressions, ceremonies help us pause. They engender a sacred, reverential space in which we can get still enough and slow down enough and breathe deeply enough to adequately mark and metabolize the bigness of the moment. One bride compared her ceremony to an emotional tattoo because of the way that it imprinted her psyche and reset the terms of her universe. So, Dannah and James, if you'll stop talking to each other. Even if your relationship felt permanent and declared and established before now, my hope is that this ceremony, this conscious pause, will shore it up and strengthen it and give it new depth and new resonance and usher you forward into your marriage feeling grounded, exalted, and powerful as a couple. So the pause comes from the conscious taking in of each other and the natural world around us, from noticing this immense redwood tree and the particular way that it holds the immensity and scale of this occasion and the threshold that it represents for James and Dannah. For the light of the midday sun and the way it flickers through this canopy of trees, this fresh woodsy air. And since we're in the Bay Area, fresh and air being the operative words. And from the life-giving water that's bubbling and babbling in the background. It comes, Dannah and James, from remembering your ancestors of birth, blood, and bone. In particular, your grandparents, Manuel, Arsenia, and Graciela, for raising you, disciplining you, and training you to duck flying objects like shoes and pot lids. And from acknowledging the Awaswas ancestors of this land, recognizing that without their dedicated stewardship, we would be unable to enjoy this beautiful place today. It comes from sending blessings forward to the future generations, to your own descendants, that they may inherit the best, evolve the worst, and know true joy. And it comes from giving thanks to the great mystery of life, its infinite, unknowable reach, and to the love that is beaming at us from all directions. So you all, and those of you on Zoom or YouTube or whatever brilliant technological platform we have going today, are the closest and most beloved relationships that Dannah and James share. And your presence here is wonderful and vitally important to them. Do you guys want to turn and look at your people for a second? Whether it's 20 of us or 200 of us, we have a renewed appreciation for the preciousness of togetherness. During this uncertain time, we've been forced to reevaluate our priorities, remember what matters most, express our love openly and easily, and hold each other close. Therefore, it's worth pausing to acknowledge that James and Dannah deeply value their relationships with each and every one of you, and that they are thrilled to be celebrating their marriage with you. So thank you for being part of this ceremony, for enriching this moment with your presence, and for helping create a strong field of love in which Dannah and James can be married. And finally, Dannah and James, were pausing to mark the beauty and sincerity of your commitment, knowing that it is made in love, kept in integrity, and lived in hope. We're pausing to acknowledge what John Keats called the holiness of the heart's affections, and to recognize that what makes life not only bearable, but truly beautiful is giving and receiving love. So just in case you didn't read the novel, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version in Dannah's own words about how she and James ended up here today. She said, "We were set up by a matchmaker who specializes in the very rare niche cat mom to cat dad dating pool." Just kidding about that last part. But we were, in fact, set up by a matchmaker. There were teeny bumps in the road, like I wasn't sure that James knew how to spell because his profile misspelled Dolores Park. But with encouragement from friends, I decided to meet James for dinner at Trestle in San Francisco 3 years ago. James was about 7 minutes late and reeked of Tom Ford cologne. He also wore a sexy double-breasted suit to dinner. Dinner was funny because James doesn't like to share plates, and I ate everything that came to the table. But we talked about our families and learned that we were raised very similarly. Our parents are incredibly hardworking. At one point in our lives, our dads raised us while our moms worked. Our grandparents lived with us and were a big part of our upbringing. We both come from big families, and we were both the kids that got yelled at, grounded, and generally got in the most trouble. They probably still do, from the looks of it.
I'm still grounded.
I know. I believe you. Dannah said she knew it was a forever thing when one night, during their first month living together, James turned to her and said, "I had planned to take this to my grave because I wasn't sure how you'd be able to handle this information, but you leave the caps on jars and bottles unscrewed to where a gentle breeze could blow them off. I follow you after you're done, and I seal everything you touch." James knew it was a forever thing when, during his very fun hospitalization for his dear appendix's forced eviction, he was trying to tie his shoes, and Dannah swatted his hands away and tied them for him. Also, while he was heavily medicated and still at the hospital, he suggested taking boudoir photos in his hospital gown, which Dannah promptly set up in the bathroom with beauty lights and all. As you probably know, because she sent them around, she printed the photos, framed them, and then mailed them out as Christmas cards to everyone that same year. Fast forward a bit, and James and Dannah planned a Jurassic Park Batman cat-themed wedding in Bali for this October. I wish I could have been there, man. Sounds really fun. In July, they realized their destination dinosaur wedding was probably not going to happen. So they made a contingency plan and actively started moving their wedding to good old Aptos, California. They ended up finding this venue, booking it, and securing their vendors in 2 weeks' time because of their determination and teamwork. And so now here we are today, supporting them as they tie the knot. So Dannah and James, today as you cross the threshold of marriage, everything is renewed. Of course, you're bringing the whole story of your relationship and everything you've experienced thus far. And yet, in just a few moments, all of that will be transformed. Your relationship itself is reborn today, both the same as ever, and yet totally new, imbued with the magic of this ceremony. So take this moment before you say your vows to look into each other's eyes and not talk. And feel all the love that flows between you. Let this moment serve as a call to presence, a time to reflect on the vows you make today are the foundation of a life lived with integrity so knowing what you know about each other and knowing that.
Yes.
Okay, is that an affirmative? Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna get those rings, please. Dannah, do you take James to be your husband, to cherish in friendship and love today, tomorrow, and as long as the two of you shall live, to trust and honor him, to love him, the love you have for each other, and the reason you came together today?
I do.
Have you put this big ring, that one,
This one?
on his left?
On the right? That's my right hand.
Go ahead. This ring is a living symbol of your vows and of your dedication to your marriage. Wear it as a reminder of the love you share every single day of your life. James, do you take Dannah to be your wife, to cherish in friendship and love today, tomorrow, and for as long as the two of you live, to trust and honor her, to love her faithfully through the best and the worst, whatever may come. And if you should ever doubt, to remember your love for each other and the reason why you came together today.
I do.
This ring is a living symbol of your vows and of your dedication to your marriage. Wear it as a reminder of the love you share every single day of your lives. Dannah and James, each threshold that we cross in life has the power to transform and renew us. With the sharing of your vows and rings, you have now crossed the threshold of marriage. Thank you all for being part of this ceremony, for enriching this moment with your presence, and for helping create a field of love and blessings in which Dannah and James could be married. To everything seen and unseen that held us in love and support through this ceremony, we give great thanks. Dannah and James, bless your beautiful lives. I wish all the good things for you.
Thank you.
May you love fully, give with joy, and laugh with abandon. May you be blessed with long life, sweetness of heart, protection from harm, and infinite causes for thanksgiving. May all that is good, beautiful, and true, like this ceremony, remain with you always. And so it is with these blessings, and by the beauty and power, do it, whatever you're going to do it, of your vows and declarations, we joyfully recognize you as married. You can kiss now. You can cheer now.
Yay! Come here.
What are you going to do?
Yay!